Hi, the Wheel of Time fans. Welcome back to Tori Talks TV. I'm Tori, of course, and you know Dr. S, but today we're joined by some very special guests by popular demand. These are my brothers, the book readers. This is Jason, or Mr. Dr. S, and this is Alex. Welcome, Alex and Jason, to Tori Talks TV.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so happy to have you here.
Be here.
Yeah, I bet. I'm sorry.
And thank you for requesting us.
Oh, I know, right? So this was supposed to be recorded a long time ago, but we got COVID. She lost a family member. It was a very dramatic start to 2022. But we're here, so better late than never, right? All right, so this is our little roundtable roundup of season 1 of The Wheel of Time. So we're going to ask some questions, have some open discussion. Totally chill. Okay, so let's start. Okay, the first question I have for you guys is, how were you introduced to the Wheel of Time books, and when were you introduced? So we're going to start with Mr. Dr. S.
I really do prefer that title.
Okay, good.
Well, I was a big fantasy reader throughout my teenage, young adult years, and so I actually was introduced to it just seeing it in a bookstore. When the first book was out, probably I think 2 or 3 months after it came out, I was browsing through the bookstore and I saw it on the shelf and looked interesting. So I've been with it since just after it was published, and kind of stumbled across it. So I was a big fan for a while. I mean, I'm a big fan in general, but for the first 10 books or so, I was really into it. So I'd read the first book, maybe read it a couple times before the second book came out, and then, with each book, I think this is pretty common among a lot of fans, I'd read the first book again before the second one came out, and then I'd read the first and the second again before the third came out, and I'd read the first, second, and third before the fourth came out. So the first book I read, probably a dozen times, and each book multiple times. But I never completed the series. I fell off when Robert Jordan died, and I understand it was wrapped up nicely, and I've always intended to get back to it. But in my mind, it was going to be, I needed a lot of time because I'd have to start over with the first book again. So I got to read all the way through, and I just never have found the time. And, now with the series going, I may just wait till the series is over with, and then finish up that way.
How old are you, or about what year was that? Could you recall?
Tell us your age, Dr.
Yeah, right.
S.
It would have been,
Dr. S.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't remember my age exactly, but I think it was around 1990, early 90s, late 80s, but I think it was, late 80s, I think. But it was something where I was really, really into it. Of course, this was before a lot of, online discussion, options. But I introduced it to every friend I met. I introduced the series to, and so then I had a whole group of friends who all read it, and I must have spent thousands of hours talking about it with them. So during that period, during those first 10 years of the series, I was super fan. And then since then, it holds a dear place in my heart, but I haven't revisited it recently. So it's been a while since I've read it.
Right. Okay. It's never too late. Okay, what about you, Alex? How and when?
Hi. I was introduced to the Wheel of Time book series by him.
Oh, isn't that cute?
Yeah, I was in the 90s. I was a teenager. I think I got a hold of it from you in 1994, a copy of Eye of the World, and I remember it was the bigger paper-bound book, and actually no, it was the hardbound book. And what was interesting about the hardbound book that he gave me, it had a fragrance on it, like as if maybe it was probably a perfume. So I think you had given the book to a female friend.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Then she had read it, loved it, bought her own copy, and then gave it back to you.
Oh, I see.
So
I mean, that was a common occurrence at the time. There was a lot of
common occurrence.
Well, also the series was popular amongst my female friends because it was one of the few fantasy series that had a lot of female main characters. And so that would be a pitch to get someone to read it, and they would enjoy it. So I would say of the many friends I had that liked it, probably more than half were female friends.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yes.
So
I was reading a book series before Jason had given me his copy or lent me his copy, who had lent it to somebody else. And I think you should never really lend books. You should just give books away.
Oh.
That kind of helps with the life of that particular object.
Yeah.
But I was reading another series called Dragonlance, which was the universe was just as big, However, they were separated into multiple little tiny books. So Wheel of Time is obviously my favorite fantasy series of all time. But this series, of course, it has around 4 million words throughout all
Oh my God.
14, 15 if you count the prequel books, which is the crazy amount. It's more words than I think it's probably of all literature. It's probably second amongst all written literature.
What?
It's pretty crazy. So yeah, that's how I was introduced to the Wheel of Time series by him in probably 1994. So I was 15.
Jeez, you have to invest a lot of time in those books.
Yes, and I read. I mean, I made it back then. Again, that's probably I've read the Wheel of Time. I'm sorry, I read the Eye of the World, the first book, probably about 4 or 5 years ago again, and I kind of read the prequel along with it, The New Spring, which is a great little story of kind of the back history of Lan and Moraine. However, I would recommend reading that book because of the events in there. I'd recommend after reading probably like book 5. So consider that. Don't just read it because it's a prequel, because there's stuff in there that you probably want to be aware of because it was written after these other books.
Oh, good to know.
Good info.
So
Yes.
that's my story on how I heard of the Wheel of Time series.
That's awesome.
And to bring it back, he bought me the prequel book.
Yeah, New
As
Spring.
a present, New
Yeah,
Spring. So
back in like 2010.
You guys, I grew up with them, and I had no idea this was happening. I'd never even heard of this book that you guys had just been like passing.
I
along to
remember
each
seeing
other.
these books on our shelves though for a long time.
Wow.
yeah,
It's like cool.
Yeah.
cool.
Who
Because
knew?
I had all the hard
Yeah,
I remember
bound
seeing
ones
the
and
books.
prominently displayed.
New Spring is a nice. It's not a crazy big volume by page by leaves. It's a story that focuses primarily on Moraine and Lan in the early years.
Oh, sign me
And
up.
Swan is also in there. Swan is also in there. It's a good little story.
You sold it to me. All right.
When it's when they were quite young and they were studying in the White Tower.
Were they pillow friends at that time?
Well, particularly that book, it's really cute because it kind of shows their relationship, because they're basically, they were pillow friends, but they're also, and you got to think back in at least the 90s, like there were no like out characters in a lot of literature and film. So Robert Jordan, even though ultimately he referred to them as pillow friends, but they were really, that was his way of saying they were lovers.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that they were full out in a relationship and then it was sexual and everything else. Pillow friends was actually a common theme amongst sisters in the White Tower.
That's amazing. I didn't know
It was,
that.
but not all of them led to strong relationships or bonds.
So he meant for pillow friends to mean.
Correct. It was his way of making it marketable
Romantic.
to the general populace
That is so
by
neat.
insinuating that they were of the same sex.
I think that's so cool because if people are not down with that, you could be like, oh no, they're just friends.
Mm-hmm.
But people who know.
Right.
Right. He did confirm it later in
He did. Okay.
That's what he meant by it. Yeah.
That is so cool.
I mean, it seems pretty obvious to me.
Oh. Yeah, me too. Okay, next question. So, as book readers, what was your overall opinion of the TV series, season 1? Obviously, we're going to start with you. Go ahead, Alex.
The series, so a lot of book readers made, right off the get-go, when they announced the series and it went into production, and if you're following the many struggles of production and the casting and some of the production staff announcements, I think a lot of the book readers automatically had expectations lined up because even though it wasn't fully disclosed, like the Harry Potter series, from the books to the movie, there was a lot of one-to-one adaptation. But with this series, it's not a one-to-one adaptation. It's almost a new turning. If for all the book readers, you'll know what that is. It's a new turning of essentially the wheel. So what I think of the series, it's a good start to tell a play of this story. This story itself is almost impossible to really put off into mass media, and there's challenges within that, not only financial, but just the breadth of the story is is a huge task. There's like 2,700 named characters that have dialogue in this whole story. So, I mean, congrats to Amazon and, for committing the resources to this series. But from what I observed, we personally observed over these 8 episodes, which it shouldn't have been 8 episodes. It should have really have been 10 or 12
Longer, yeah.
to fully tell the story. I thought it was a very, very fair, decent introduction to the adaptation for television for this series. I thought, if I was going to rank it on a scale 1 to 10, I'd give it probably a 7. But given that Amazon committed to it through only 8 episodes, COVID, and then losing a cast member,
Oh yeah.
all of those considered, and you have some of the showrunners, some of the production staff. This is like their first real gig.
Really?
So, how good are we usually when we start a job, right? The
Nice.
first day, we
Yeah.
probably kind of suck. Not that some of the showrunners are completely green, but bringing this whole story together, I thought this show, even though again there's some flaws and some criticisms from book readers specifically, I thought this was a incredibly decent adaptation.
Nice. Oh, thank you. That's really good to hear. Okay. What about?
Well said.
Yeah, seriously, very
I
well.
like how
said.
he's dropping the stats in
Thank you.
Yeah,
word
nice.
count, character count. He's
He's a fan.
yeah.
Okay, what about you, Mr. Dr. Jason?
I liked it a lot.
Yeah?
I'm a book reader that really enjoyed the series, very much. So I think part of it is I had realistic expectations coming in. I did not expect it to be
Okay.
word for word, character for character, scene for scene adaptation. I know that it can't be that, so I never expected that.
Okay.
To me, my overall reaction to it is based on the fact that I think it captures the spirit and essence of the story, and that's what I wanted. I was super happy. There's a big smile on my face as I was watching because I saw these characters that I love and I've read so much about come to life.
Yep.
Right?
Aw.
I loved
That's so
seeing the
cool.
story come to life and these characters become, full three-dimensional, people on the screen.
Yeah.
So
That's so
I think the story did a great job. The adaptation, the showrunners did a great job of capturing that, and was what I wanted from the series. Right, I want to see a new telling.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I didn't expect it to be, the books word for word, scene for scene. So,
right.
Yeah, it'd be 40 seasons.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, people. I think that people have book readers that aren't enjoying it or didn't enjoy it or stopped after one, and they hate it. There's a lot of hate out there for it. I think they have unrealistic expectations. I get that they are passionate about the series and they hold it, close to their heart, and they don't like to see it changed or corrupted. But I guess that's if you feel that way, you feel that way.
Yeah.
But I don't get all this talk about how horrible it is or how Robert Jordan would be turning over in his grave and all that sort of talk. That's ridiculous. First of all, you don't know Robert Jordan. You don't, I don't like the tone from some book readers. There's plenty of valid, opinions and criticisms. Some people are going to like things more than others, and etc. So all that's out there. But the all the comments I see about any true book reader realizes this is horrible. This sucks.
You mean the book cloaks?
The book cloak. Yes,
Oh,
yes, exactly. The book
nice.
cloaks. There's way too much book cloakism out there, and that. So who to say whether you should enjoy it or not? If you're there's a lot of that really turns me off. The whole, if you're a true fan, you this sucks, or they're they did such a horrible job. I don't agree at all. I consider myself a fan. And I loved it. In fact, maybe we'll get to it, or maybe we won't. But I think there's a lot of ways that the series improves upon the books.
Yep.
That's high.
Especially because realistically, the first book especially it's not the strongest book. And it's a little bit slow.
Yep.
And I think that there's a lot of challenges in adapting the whole series, and especially the first book. And I think in some ways, the choices they made are improvements on the book.
Yep.
Oh,
So
that's a big deal.
Yep.
It's pretty high praise.
And to trail off what Jason was saying, Yeah, the reception of this series is kind of baffling because, yeah, I love the book series, and a lot of you out there do. And even if you're just a fantasy seeker of a show that you heard about Wheel of Time from somebody at work, and I get it, the fantasy TV scape is huge with Witcher and I mean a lot of other series out there that you could even go back and just watch a whole binge watch. But with this series, I get the frustration from some, but the frustration being expressed is not really. I mean, it's not really representative of a true book reader, if you could say. Because here's why. Because when was the last time that somebody put up $100 million to make your favorite TV series? And like, this is great. I feel good about it. The community feels good about it. That Amazon committed to this, because this series could have been totally passed over. This series, I'm going to be real critical of it when they do make it, but I'm going to be so I'm going to feel like not unfortunate that like what Jason was saying, these characters are real, they have been embodied onto TV, and thank you for making it, Amazon. I think we should be more appreciative of someone committing time and effort and taking a risk, because this is the series is flawed for sure, like any series, and there's some slog in some of the later books with the writing, but this is an incredible. The sum of this whole story is just fascinating with just an innumerable amount of characters. However, the criticism is just nothing like I've ever seen with criticism, because again, you're having people out there who are getting offended for other people commenting on some of the criticisms are not really about the story or the production. They are personal reactions of, you destroyed my childhood, which is totally ridiculous. If your childhood is solely based on this book, then you probably have to look at yourself. So I say to the community who have had this, I get you. I'm not 100% totally satisfied with this whole series and this whole adaptation. But be more appreciative that it has been signed on for season 2 and season 3. And the next season and the third season, be real critical of those seasons, because listen, they have something going on here that's special to us. And we want to see what they do next.
And just one last thing to pick up on that, because I don't think we're going to change anybody's mind. There's not somebody out there who's talked about how much they hate the series that's going to suddenly go, now that they put it that way. But, so I don't want to be a dead horse here, but I think that people should have perspective, because also all these people that are coming in with the series is destroyed, or because they changed that scene, it changes the whole meaning and everything. You have a perspective of having read the whole series. This is just getting started, and they used parts of future books in this book, but they've also said that parts of book 1 will be in the next book. So we're just seeing cut off after 8 episodes. There's a lot more character development to go on. So a lot of people are sort of judging it based on incomplete story. You need to wait to see how it all comes together before you can say that they've ruined a character or ruined someone's motivation. Maybe we haven't got to it yet. So
that's true.
I just think that people need to be patient.
And I'm very
mature.
We are both very much emotionally invested in the story. We want to see it succeed. So if you believe in the story, go out and buy that merch that's in their store. 100%. Do that. Do that, because that's supporting. Yeah, there's merch.
There you go.
There's merch. If you go to the show, that's one way of supporting future installments of this series, because Amazon, remember, they made a huge commitment. I think we should truly support them.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, Amazon doesn't need any more of my money, but but I do want to see the series finished. I've already
So just buy the Wheel of Time merch.
There you go.
But that would be the worst thing, is we get 2 seasons and it stops. And we don't get to finish it. So I just want it to be successful enough that the whole, however many seasons, 8, 9 seasons that Rafe's talked about, get made.
Okay.
So.
But again, thank you to Amazon and the showrunners and the production company, production staff, the cast. Thank you all for making this a reality.
Yeah.
And to us.
So much passion from them, huh? You feel the love?
Yes.
That's why that community.
This is the love that we got every week
Oh my
when
gosh.
people would watch and comment.
I had
so
no
nice.
idea. Okay, well, let's move on. This is really getting me. So sweet. Okay, anyway, the next question is, I'm going to start with you, Jason, okay? Even though I know you just talked, sorry. Which character is most like their representation in this series, and which one is least like? Oh, I'm really excited about this one, actually.
Most and least like.
Because
From the book to the series.
Right, books and series.
Gosh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'll say most like is really tough because I think that the good news, I think that they really nailed it with so many of the characters.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
Good.
I mean, that's
Okay.
hard for me to choose because probably the thing I love most about the series, or at least top 3, is the cast. I think that they really nailed the casting and the characters are coming to life, not just based on the showrunners, but actually the performances. Right, I really am enjoying all those performances, and most like
which one's like spot on or
Yeah.
pretty much close to?
yeah. I would say, to me, it's. I say, as a book reader who's seen, read more than one book.
Yeah.
I think Nynaeve
I was going to guess that.
is the
Really?
most
I
fun.
don't know why.
But none of them are sort of like just spot. Like if you were comparing book 1 to season 1, because there's some changes. Like
Oh.
all the characters are slightly different, but I think that she's most spot on for how she is as a whole, and so. But it's really nitpicking in a positive way because
Right.
so many of the Eamon's Field 5 are all dead on. So whether it be Rand or Perrin or Egwene, Egwene, I almost picked hers also.
Really?
But and then so I didn't say Matt because I guess I would pick Matt as the most different.
Oh.
But that's not a bad thing actually. I think that the Matt in the series is better than the Matt in the books.
Oh.
So.
I agree.
So he's the
Yeah.
least different, and that's a positive change. Or let me say the most different, but that's a positive change.
Right.
And it's not a slight against Matt as a character overall, because Matt becomes a super enjoyable character. But the first book, Matt is not that enjoyable. And it's again, we only got to obviously we all know he prematurely got sort of cut off. Right, he's not
Yeah.
even in the last
Yeah.
2 episodes. Because of what happened. So it's a shame. We don't really get to fully evaluate, but the changes they made to Matt, I think, were all an improvement. I think the actor who was playing him was doing a great job, and so I actually liked or cared, or even more than liked, but cared more about Matt in the series than I did about in the first book. It wasn't until later in the books that I started to really care about Matt. So I think he's
so neat.
the least different for
Good reason.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
reason.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Okay, Alex, what about you? Most like the representation?
Loyal.
And-
Yeah, that's
Oh,
a really good one, too.
really?
Really, yeah.
Oh, I
He's-
love
They nailed
him.
it. Yeah.
Spot on.
Oh.
Yeah, he there were some criticisms around kind of the presentation of Loyal on the show because Ogier are hard to put onto TV. I loved it all. Like you saw there's so much character with the backstory of the builders, and as you mentioned, they had eight episodes, so they couldn't go into the histories of the ogre and the builders, but everybody acknowledged them and they kind of gave them honor, kind of praised them.
Yeah.
But there's a whole history that you can go look it up. But yeah, absolutely, Loyal was amazing, and it's every little quirk, every little reaction. He's a bookworm. He's a student. He's a scholar. He's got some quirks that are very likable character overall. I think he is the most, for me. I mean, there's other characters that line up incredibly well.
Yeah.
He's the one I would choose. Well,
So credit to the people that wrote him and the actor, yeah,
yes,
for bringing him to life.
the actor
so accurately.
Yes,
Yeah.
the actor's amazing. I think I'll butcher his name. I think it's Hamid.
Okay.
Anyway, you'll probably correct me in the comments. No, he did an amazing job. That's exactly, if I was to have a kind of preconceived notion of what Loyal would be portrayed as, and the actual living life body of Loyal, that's what I would pick.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, and I'm glad they went with that presentation instead of CG.
Oh, okay.
Me too.
There's more of an emotional connection with he being more humanoid than computer generated.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then which one's least?
Least. Yeah. So Lan is overall. Lan in the books is again, he's really stoic. He's very brusque at times because he's obviously has a huge history, and there were events of the actual TV series, like his relationship with Nynaeve, and they were really emotional. However, we just didn't have enough time to build out his story. It's incredible what they did, where he's paying homage to his history, and it's the scene when Nynaeve and he first kind of meet up, and he helps translate the old tongue to her, and she had no idea what it meant, and there was like the immediate bond. That I don't think that's in the books. That way, yeah. So,
Wow.
but it's a good touch. But if Lan was on screen how he is in the books, he wouldn't be interesting.
Okay.
Wow, really?
Yeah, not that he's not an interesting character. I mean, if you really want to see some, if you want to read up on more specifically about Lan's history, definitely check out New Spring, or just read the whole book series, or watch season 2.
Okay.
But yeah, he is in a lot of ways not the same in the book. Or sorry, not the same on the TV series as he in the book, but for good reasons. He has to be more engaging. The actor they chose is very, very handsome.
A smoke
Yes, he
show.
is.
And yeah, he's a very handsome man. And his the way his relationship, of course, with Moraine is spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's definitely spot on interaction because there's an understanding between the two.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what I would choose. That's what I would choose for being least like. There's also a good touch too, because at the first White Cloak encounter from, I'll say, the Two Rivers folk on the road, Lan, of course, he's scouting ahead and he sees the White Cloaks. By the way, that scene on my heart was pumping because I don't recall that being in the books, that encounter being in the books.
Oh.
But I knew the encounter, I know how White Cloaks interact with other groups that they encounter in the books, and how Aes Sedai are regarded, and the blending of the two. So my heart was pumping. I know what happens, in my head of how they're going to get out of this. You just never want to run into White Cloaks under any circumstance.
Oh my God.
But one of the White Cloaks, the guy essentially with the gold armor, I guess you could call it the golden plate mail on one shoulder. His character, he doesn't go into it, but his name's Jeffrem Bornhold, and he's regarded as a very honorable, kind of like grandpa kind of charm to him. And as you can see, he's very charming. He speaks, "Please dismount your horse," and he's even though they are zealots, radical military religious zealots. That's exactly how he is in the books. But there's one thing he wouldn't necessarily say, which he recommended that the injured Moraine seek out an Aes Sedai in Whitebridge. He would never say that.
Really?
Yeah, he would never say that.
Okay.
But another White Cloak, Imanvalda, who's the questioner, the lead questioner,
It scares me.
he's worse in the books.
Oh.
He's worse in the books?
Yeah.
It gets worse than that? Great. So more to come from him then,
Yes.
obviously.
Well, again,
Probably.
first book, he's
We'll see.
really bad.
I definitely agree with your choices of Lowell and Lan, and I kind of wish I hadn't made those choices. But I agree with you.
Very good.
I agree with your choices too.
Okay, well, let's move on. So my next question for you guys is, what's the most surprising alteration from the books? What were you just like, wait, what? Why? It could be for good reason, bad reason, you're just kind of most surprised about. Let's start with Alex.
I have a couple.
Okay, great.
One is just actually I'll pick the most, but one of the elements of production and kind of the demonstration of the story, they did not go into channeling, like the history of magic and how some Aes Sedai will. There's a little bit of backstory. You'll notice that let's say Alana Masfani, she channels differently in certain patterns than Swan.
Oh.
when she was.
Did not know
This is
like with the hands?
correct. And Karini,
love that.
she's a healer. Like they have all these different things.
Oh.
You know, and that's actually learned
Oh.
by other Aes Sedai and just and during teaching even.
Okay.
So those patterns are actually there. But just how powerful the one power is, and the respect, and the fact that Moraine is one of the most powerful channelers in the whole land. Speaking of going back to land, he is, and it's not really comment. He's one of I think the top 3 blade masters in all of the lore, it's so again. There's a lot of history behind these characters that they didn't have time to kind of show on the TV series that is worth revisiting at some point, because there's a lot of backstory I think would have been given a better experience to a lot of the viewership. So one change is the end of like the final episode of this series, episode 8. The ending in the book of The Eye of the World is different than this, for good reasons. In the book, the end of The Eye of the World is a mess.
Oh, really?
I've had to reread it a couple times because like when I first, back in the 90s, and I reread it again a couple years ago, and I was like, I'm sure I think I know what's going on. But because there's really weird things that happen. And but again, if you're going to make a TV series out of this and you're going to show it to a mass group of people, you can't have it be that. So I actually don't like some of the elements leading to the end, the last sequence with Rand and the guy in the tuxedo shirt, who's hasn't really been kind of disclosed his identity on the show, so I won't mention that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's implied who he is. But a lot of the events in there were really different, and some of the events in Faldara, the Shannara city, where you got to see Min, who was the innkeeper, and a lot of the end were I forgot her name. Basically, Lord Anglemar's sister.
Oh yeah.
She essentially the sister in white who essentially pulverizes the whole army. That sequence was really odd.
Yeah.
Oh.
And again, I'm not saying it doesn't happen like that, but that sequence was really odd, and I don't know how it could have been done differently, but that's again the ending of this series. They had to pack a lot of it in. You could tell. So there were some liberties they had to take with just production elements and CG and all this kind of stuff. So the overall ending was vastly different, and I'll leave it at that. Okay. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that's a difference, huge difference.
Yeah.
Because they mentioned events of book 2, and like there were some characters in there that you saw get perceived to be killed, who are huge characters.
Like Uno,
absolutely. And like Uno, the eye patch guy, he's amazing. But again, this is a new telling, a new turning of the wheel, so it's hard to compare them. That question's hard because it's hard to compare. I know why they did it. I just have to answer the question. So that's what I'll go with.
You're up, Jason?
Well, I mean, I would probably agree. As far as most surprising would be the final. So those scenes he mentioned in the final episode. In some ways, there were other surprises. I know people throughout the season were like, what, how, why are they doing this? Or why didn't they go there? Or where's this character, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised by that in the sense I was following the production somewhat, right? So I already knew that there would be some of the changes, right? Okay. I already knew that they hadn't cast, Elaine and Galad and Gawain.
Characters,
yeah. That certain characters are being moved to different seasons and stuff like that. So I wasn't surprised by their absence because I knew it was, they were going to be absent. But so that said, the ones that I didn't know about were that final episode, both how the scene played out with Rand and the unnamed System of the Down guy.
Thank you. Yes.
And the 5 women that linked to defeat the Trolls. So those were both surprises because they're just big deviations. But I don't have a problem with them. I know a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. I have a teeny bit of a problem with one of them, but not like I don't have a major problem. But and so it's really more of a minor thing. But I think the biggest surprise is because I just didn't see, like, I expect changes and I actually look forward to changes because I don't know what's going to happen. I enjoy that. I have someone who's read the first book 12, 14 times. It's nice to not, whoa, I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah.
That's nice. But the Lowell being stabbed at the end, I think, was probably the most surprise because I never thought that Lowell wouldn't be continuing on for many books, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's, I don't know, spoiler alert, but it's already been well discussed that he survives because the showrunner has confirmed this to everyone, right? Yeah. So it's just too important of a character, I think, to have killed off. So I'm surprised that they went with that sort of fake out. Now, they wanted to really heighten the drama and you know, get, I guess, people really, but I think that's sort of a surprise that I thought was unnecessary. And so I was surprised that they, so I guess that the other ones were also surprises, but I didn't have a problem. And that one, I guess the surprise that I didn't understand is the one that surprised me the most, which is the stabbing of Lowell.
Oh.
There was one kind of a deviation from the books, and I kind of like it. Logain is, in the first book, Logain does not have like a spoken dialogue. He's actually acknowledged as a false dragon, obviously. His character was more prominent in this, and I kind of like it because Logain's Gelden, he's actually, his character is it's just a lore, it's lore, kind of a spoiler. He's a noble in that same city where he went up to the king and healed the king and and commissioned the Gelden army. So he's actually a nobleman in that town or city. But again, the whole interaction with the Aes Sedai, and then that the where Nynaeve got to cast that huge healing spell, and she was very upset when she did that, which is something to consider for the future. Basically, that whole thing was amazing. That whole episode, I think episode 4, because you never really got to learn about Logain. You heard him, Logain Abelar, and all this kind of stuff, and he looked up. Basically, he wasn't the deviation. He wasn't taken to Tar Valon like directly. He went to this other town, which is called Camelin, which, again, like Jason was mentioning, there's some characters that we didn't get to meet. And by the way, just the story from where it began in the Two Rivers to Camelin, that's like 10 episodes.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That is like 10 episodes of TV right there. But regardless of that, I do like that. That's an amazing change that I was on board with because you got to actually see kind of the evilness and the madness truly of what a male channeler goes through, and how the lethal usage of it's called the corruption in the TV series. In the books, it's called the taint. You can obviously guess why they wanted to change that. But just someone using the one power for evil is brutal.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they missed a lot of good jokes and memes by not having the corrupted taint or feeling the taint, but whatever, that's their choice.
Touch the taint. Yep.
Oh my God.
Well, so I don't know that you were planning to ask this or not, but I'll take the moment to say, as far as, it's not even a surprise as much, but a change that I wanted to highlight. Like, I think Logain changes all for the better, right? And that made me think of one of the reasons I say I think the show is better than season 1 is better than book 1 overall. And I know that some people are hating me right now for saying that. And I welcome the comments, bring them on. Is that we get to learn a lot more about other characters. Okay, so I get that some people are like, the series did disservice to Rand, and we don't know Rand as much, and also he loses his big moment at the end because he's the one who's supposed to defeat the Trollocs. Book spoiler, sorry. But at the sacrifice of having less Rand, we get a whole bunch more of a bunch of other people, and we get a lot more, equal character development. Yeah. And instead of just being all Rand. Rand's gonna get his moments. Okay, Rand had. I like the moments that Rand did have, and I think that I really, really like Rand as a character. I like the actor they have. I think it's gonna. I have no concerns about us not getting Rand's story arc or about them not nailing Rand's story arc. There's time for that. We didn't need a whole season devoted to Rand. If they'd done it like the books, it would be Rand's the main character and everyone else is important, but sub character or side characters or just not supporting characters.
Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for.
One of the it is one of the smartest kind of storytelling elements of the adaptation of the story to TV.
Wow.
Yeah. Where everyone's kind of level, and Moraine kind of brings it all together and kind of manages. You can see her interaction with as they arrive at Tarvalon, where she's separating them. Like she's the puppet master in a lot of ways, and she's withholding information for reasons, and she has an agenda. She absolutely has an agenda, and you couldn't really do that if it was just Rand.
Yeah, in the first book you don't get people. I have that understanding of Moraine now, but that's because they've read multiple books, right? In the first book, if you only look at the first book, you don't get that much of Moraine. Certainly not that much. But you don't even get that full picture of her. You don't really even understand Moraine very much from the first book. She's very sort of somewhat one-dimensional. But as are most of the characters. Same with Lan, like you mentioned, Lan being stoic, but somewhat dull, admirable and interesting, but still, So, you could go through a whole host of characters that you don't really have a good sense of from the first book, from Egwene to or are unlikable in their first book representation, and they evolve and become more developed and nuanced as the books go on. But at least we got a little more of that nuance now. Like Nynaeve, we get to see more of her total character in this first. So I think that's smart because we don't we want to be drawn in. We want to have a whole bunch of characters that we're interested in seeing where they go in season 2 instead of one character. So.
That totally makes sense. Well said. All right. Well, my next question is for kind of all of us. So we're going to start with Dr. S.
Oh, okay.
I missed hearing your voice. Okay. So what are you most looking forward to in upcoming seasons? Obviously, no spoilers, gentlemen.
Okay.
But yes.
I have 2. May I have 2?
Yes, please.
Okay, so on a, I guess, more superficial level, I'm really anxious to see the return of Tom Maryland, my Silver Fox, because I know he's coming back, and I just
Isn't he dead?
Oh, he's not dead.
No, he's not.
He fought a
he's
fade.
not
If anybody can survive a
Who
fade
survives
attack,
a
it's
who
him.
survives a fade attack?
I said this from the first, right after we viewed that episode. There's no way that there would be this charming character who you just love, and he tells these stories through his songs, and it's so beautiful that he's not coming back. He's coming back. So I'm excited to see how that plays out.
Yes.
And then jumping now to the final episode, I really want to learn more about the group of people arriving on the boats.
Yes.
Because
who are they?
They really seem pretty badass.
And
then I just want to know like the whole deal, like what's like, because there's tiers of people, like they're not all the same on the boat. So like, what's that all about? I feel like there's going to be some very, very interesting information given to us right away because it ended with that.
Yeah.
So it's got to pick up right there, right?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
All I'll say is those are good things to look forward to. I think that you will be happy with learning more. That's all. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, Mr. Dr. S. What are you most looking forward to in upcoming seasons? Without spoilers.
What am I most looking forward to? Actually, I'm gonna punt to Alex. I haven't really thought of that.
Okay.
So I'll come back to it.
I have multiple kind of little things. I want to see them story elements transpire. Like there's a lot of polyamory in the books. I want to see what they do with that. Multiple lovers in a lot of different ways that can make for some spicy dialogue and conflict. Even though there's a little bit of hinted kind of relationship kind of brewing with Perrin and Egwene from this season. It was hinted, which is pretty spicy.
It was hinted.
It was hinted.
I know, right? What?
Came out of nowhere though when they said that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
It's kind of abrupt.
Okay.
Sorry.
It was,
Sorry.
but it wasn't obvious. But it was again same thing.
Yeah.
Different, but so they have to the showrunners and the writers have to address that because it's almost unavoidable.
Yeah.
There are many events coming up where polyamory is a thing.
Okay.
But I'm actually looking forward to the possible reveal of certain characters who seem good are actually evil.
Oh.
Come
Spoiler alert.
on. Come on.
Or again, like I don't think there's going to be huge like, oh my gosh, but there are characters who will surprise you. I mean, again, there's 2,700 named characters, but of the ones we have seen in season 1,
It's loyal.
there's going to be because again, it's written into the story. Dark friends could be anybody.
Oh my gosh.
And
Probably some here.
I'm looking for some.
I was just thinking.
Yeah. As you saw with Dana from the the innkeep or the bar.
Oh,
Yes.
the dark
the
friend.
barkeep.
Yeah.
She's a dark friend. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
A dead dark friend.
The dead
A
dark
dark
friend.
friend.
Yep. That's one thing. I want to see what they do with the huge force in the cliffhanger where big boats of people. I won't name who they are because they do have a name, and they were expected. I'll put it that way. They were expected. So that was good. I want to see. I really personally want to see. Assuming they're alive still, I want to see the 2 Shannara warriors who were stabbed next to Loyal. Hopefully they're not dead. It'd be nice if some people can hurry up and get up there. They may be able to heal them. That'd
Yeah.
be cool.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, okay.
that's
I feel good about their chances.
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Another thing, I want to see Nynaeve, more Nynaeve, because she's probably my favorite character.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like those are a lot of different things, a lot of things that they have to address. Knowing book reader knowledge, and knowing that the future is coming. But honestly, I was surprised by just some of the story elements that were grabbed from later books and put into this kind of shoved into this series. Because remember, they're building something. They're building a future of this series. And they have to kind of wow people and you have to be surprising. So if book readers knew everything that's going to happen, they're going to watch, but they're not going to be as invested.
Oh, okay.
But if book readers are going to be surprised
Yeah.
and be able to talk and make a video like this, that even give us even more reason to tune in.
Nice. Well, thank you. Do you want me to go? Are you ready?
No, I'm ready. Actually, I had thought about it. I'll touch on one that Alex said that I would have said also, and that is that long term, whether it's season 2 or further, I definitely want to see how they deal with the polyamory situation, because it's very prevalent in the books, and I don't think it's a given that they're going to have it or address it in the same way or not. Either way, I'm not really sure. They could do different approaches. I hope that they actually do include it, but do it in a more nuanced, maybe slightly updated way. It's yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it could be done better, but I don't want them to scrap it. They could do that too. They could decide to, or at least make it reduce the number of poly.
The poly count.
Yeah, the poly count could come down, but I hope that they don't, but just find a way to make it even, I don't know, more nuanced. Is a little
Right.
Less poly, more amory.
Oh.
Yeah, well, no, or just make it, explore it fully, and make it complex and make it adult.
They have an opportunity to make
yeah.
some pretty good conflict.
Yeah. So I'm just very looking forward to seeing how they handle it, because I don't know how they're going to handle it exactly.
Yeah.
I just hope for the best. And then specific things in like season 2, of course, the folks on the boat are. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think any book reader would be. And
Yeah.
I'm also very much looking forward to. I don't think this is a spoiler, so I'm looking forward to anything we learn or see about the Aiel.
Okay.
I hope that I kind of want to see how. Spoiler alert: the waste is presented. So I'm looking forward to more about Aiel and Aiel culture and how it's shown on the show, because I'm confident that they're going to do it well based on that amazing fight with Rand's mother, the maiden of the spear at the top, which is probably my single favorite moment. I think they nailed.
That was amazing.
That.
That's nowhere in the book.
Really?
Like, I mean, you like the event is, but you don't get like blow by blow. There's
Oh, okay.
no
Oh,
like
that's so cool.
meeting,
Yeah.
like the event happening and then the aftermath of it. But you don't get to. It's not like it's
like you're not in it.
Oh yeah, they're not like fighting. Like
Wow.
it's amazing, and I'm glad to say I got to praise just real quick praise them, and I'm excited for the future because of these moments. For one thing, the Tar Valon, like the hallways and the dorms and the common area and the main Amerlin seat. We'll call it a chamber, I guess, because the Amerlin seat and the Amerlin themselves, as noted, they're the same. They're referred to as the same. That was all really well executed and done really well. The inn at the beginning was spot on. Like that's how it feels, and it's really warm, and it's run by obviously Egwene's parents. Some of the set pieces and the atmosphere created was just again really spot on. Made you feel like you're part of it. The Ways was really cool. They did a real good job with that.
Cool.
Again, it's different in a little bit, but like the presentation was really awesome, and I'm glad to see them like really hit some high notes. They went into a lot of like tower politics, probably a little bit too much, but again for good reason because it's very very important that they touch on that going forward.
I look forward to all the comments from book cloaks telling us how daft we are and how horrible the ways were and how the tavern and all of Eamon's Field was so poorly done and et cetera, et cetera. So I really look forward to being told how we're sheep herders.
But we appreciate but we love and again we're part of this community whether we seem like it or not, and if we just said how great the series was and how much we love the books, it wouldn't be very interesting. So we love to be part of this community. We love everyone's comments and from book readers, non-book readers, new people, just to fantasy. You got to think there's another audience of just this was just recommended to that might not necessarily be into fantasy.
Or give a fig about the books.
But but regardless of negative comments or positive comments, you're still commenting and voicing opinions about it. Yeah. And even if it's negative, you still care about it. Mm-hmm, even if you're just like, I watched it for 15 minutes and that was it, you still care about it, and you cared about it enough to make a comment, which is really, really, I think, a good thing. Yeah. Because it affected you, and this story will affect hopefully millions more people as they grow the show.
Yeah, for sure.
If you really stopped after 15 minutes, I don't know why you're watching this video, but give the series another chance. Just put your preconceived notions aside and just watch the new turning of the wheel.
Mm-hmm. The new turning of the wheel.
Yeah, I have a few. I'll save a couple more thoughts for the end. I'll let you go ahead and answer the question.
Oh, I'm just looking forward to more Nynaeve and Lan, and I'm a sucker for the romantic relationships. I'm a little scared about the polyamory.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm for it. Do it, great, but don't touch Nynaeve and Lan's relationship, okay? I'm not even gonna look at them. Okay.
They're not even, yeah.
And then I also want to learn more about the Aes Sedai because I find all of them so fascinating. Probably the most fascinating component that I've seen so far because they're different colors and they're different ways of channeling.
I know.
I'm totally I feel like I need to. Do they sell a book where it says what the color is and what they do and maybe a little guide?
The Ajas?
Yeah, Aes Sedai, the Ajas with their brown one.
There is a kind of a history of an almanac, I guess you could say, or encyclopedia of this, you could say. It's there, and also there's a
habits in a box in our garage.
There's a full on.
Find it. No.
There's also a full on wiki.
Yeah. So that's what I'm most looking forward to. But no, this is where we're just it's open discussion. Let's just talk. Anything you want to add about anything related? to the series?
I actually have a question for you.
Oh.
Who was your favorite villain? Because the villains are the villains are so good. In this TV series. Let's start with Dr. S.
I think favorite, I hate the most because that's how good.
Who made you want to hate them?
It has to be Child Valda. Is that how you say it? Oh my gosh!
Valda.
Every time he came on, like you said, heart pounding. Mm-hmm. But I would just tense up and stop breathing actually because I was so scared. And then just something about the way their clothes contrasted with how they were as people, just so crispy and clean.
Children of the light.
Yeah, and then they're pure evil on the inside. So, yeah, definitely. And I knew that he wasn't going to be dead because they just stabbed him in the little, there are no organs there.
Maybe one of the wolves ate him. Yum.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That
But
would be great.
But again, when you invest so much into making you hate someone, making an audience hate someone, I feel like there's going to be more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
I
too
agree
much.
with
There's
you.
too much involved, like in how much I hate him for him to not be coming back.
Actor was amazing too.
So good.
Abdul something. He was a great actor.
Aw.
Yeah. Oh, I just
He's
got
terrible.
chills again.
He's horrible. No. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go with, and I don't know if this is, I don't know, Pat and Fane.
Yeah.
I know he's just kind of like a little creeper for a majority of
Just
the
whistling.
season. Yeah, but obviously he has his moment. But he really freaks me out, and I can't get it out of my head when the Trollocs are invading, like right at the beginning, and he's just like do and just like walks away. Like, why are you not afraid of them? I don't know. I think I'm intrigued.
How would the Trollocs know they were there?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. See, like I think that he's more of a villain than we know, and that's why. Because I'm most intrigued by him, and he's most serious. So that would be my favorite. Because, and again, the actor
Yeah.
is so
Marlon,
good.
really good actor.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for that question.
Yes, no
Yeah.
problem. And by the way,
I didn't come prepared. You did.
going back to that scene where they encounter them, like even though Land's there and Moraine's there, those White Cloaks would have slaughtered them. Even this, all things considered. Remember, if the White Cloaks are going to engage in Aes Sedai, they have to have a technique that would give them at least an even footing with them. And I hope they comment on that.
Oh.
Huh.
Yeah.
They mentioned a little bit when they had the yellow Aja.
Okay.
They insinuate that they can cast only with their hand movements, as you know, but as shown by Egwene when she was tied up.
Oh.
That was the case.
But again, the White Cloaks have to have an even footing, and they might have a technique that would enable a Aes Sedai to have trouble channeling. Think on that.
Like a blocker?
So
Well, I mean, it requires a lot of cognitive ability. If you numbed that, it might affect their ability to channel.
Interesting.
Okay.
But
No,
yes,
that's-
Children of the Light.
I'm gonna
Don't
have to
mess
think
with
about
them.
that.
No,
Yeah.
I don't want to.
I don't know.
They
don't
eat
want
baby
to.
pigs.
Oh. Did you have something you wanted to add?
no, well, I was just going to, unless you have any prepared questions.
No, this is all
That's a good question.
off the cuff.
Yeah.
That's good.
So no, I was just going to highlight a couple more things. It's not like I think that everything about the series was perfect, right?
Right.
There are things that I was a little bit surprised by or puzzled by, but not a lot. For the most part, I can understand why the changes were made. But there were things that weren't present that I hope we get to see. I think that people are missing. So some people, again, I'm waiting to reserve judgment. Maybe we're going to get in the second season or third season, et cetera. So some people, it's ruined for them because, they didn't get to see this scene, but we don't know that we won't get more of it. But spoiler alert, I still hope we get to learn about the Heron marked blade. We get to see some.
yeah.
I don't know if we're actually gonna get training now between Lan and Rand. Probably not, since Rand's going his own way. But I doesn't mean that there can't be handled different ways. But I do hope to be that gets explored. I miss something I don't think we'll get to see. Tom's musicality, like the whole. There's a whole bunch in the book about
my
Tom
gosh, yeah.
performing at in after in and the harp and the flute and teaching Rand how to do that. And that's how
Yeah,
they
yeah.
make that's how they make their way.
Yes.
Make
So-
their
So yeah, I'll just
Stuff
say
like
it.
that.
So after the farm, the Grunwald farm, when Tom does his thing and he actually tells him to go.
Uh-huh.
Up until that point, yeah, what is that? Tom was teaching them some of the bard craft, if you will, of the glee craft.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at some point, those two boys got to eat,
Uh-huh.
and maybe
Earn
on
their
the
keep.
maybe on the way to not directly to Tarvalon, maybe on the way to Camelin,
Oh.
they might have played at some inn to get some
Oh,
cash.
so
Yeah.
nice.
So those things were stuff like that. Yes, I miss it, but I completely understand why it's not there. They can't have all that stuff there. We're not going to have 8 episodes. Hopefully, they'll have more episodes in the
Yes.
future, and they can have more details like that. So it's not like I don't miss some of those details, but I understand that they can't all be in there, right? And I don't damn the series because they had to cut stuff, right?
Music videos would
so-
be acceptable.
Music videos.
Yeah. Little shorts.
Oh, I see. Yeah, little extras. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe a little bit. little bit late now. I'm not sure if we're gonna suddenly Rand's gonna break out the flute and
Like a little extra, like in the little Blu-ray section or X-ray section.
Yeah,
Blu-ray
yeah.
X-ray section.
There you go. So anyway, there are things that I do miss, less people think I'm just sucking up to the series.
And again, like the book readers are going to watch this differently because we know, again, in the books, who the Dark Friends are and who's evil.
Oh.
Like on screen in this TV series, but they could easily change that for good reasons.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And it's like we're listening to a particular character speak and thinking this character is saying that because they're not who they seem they are.
Oh.
It's really cool. But again, that's just something that a book reader is burdened with. But as a non-book reader, this is all kind of fresh.
It's really fun.
Totally fresh.
Totally.
But still engaging for us to see how the book gets translated to the screen.
Yeah.
So thank you, Amazon, for making this series.
It sounds like they did the best they could with what they
has Amazon
had.
stock.
Do you work for Amazon? Don't lie. No, he's just a very appreciative fan. But no, it seems like
And they're making my favorite sci-fi series.
Nice.
I won't mention it. You can look it up.
no, it sounds like they had time constraints. They had COVID constraints. It seems like they did the best they could with what they had and what they were given. And 8 episodes, that's it for this
Well, bottom line too, it is like money. You have to make choices, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
at the end of the day, you have to choose like a perfect loyal or perfect ways. What are you gonna pick?
Yeah.
So
True.
Perfect loyal is more important than perfect ways.
Yes.
I say right now.
Always.
And so there are, to highlight, last chance, because I don't know if I'll ever be on here again.
Yes, he will. He
So I
will.
did say early on that I thought they did things better in the series. So, I mean, we touched upon some of those, right? I think the elevating of several other characters into more main characters in the first book, setting the stage for their further, storylines was really good. I really thought they did a great job with Moraine. I think most people agree, but even the haters that Rosamund Pike is great as Moraine, right?
Yeah.
And
Incredible.
And and so
Incredible.
she nails it, and they made her character, a lot better, a lot stronger. She's not nearly as much of a main character in the first book.
She's a force on this show.
Yeah, she,
Which is good.
she really, all of her scenes are super compelling.
Yeah.
And
So-
we have, and as you read the book, and as Robert Jordan, he over describes things. That's kind of a flaw of his. But he'll literally tell you the button colors on it, like embroidery,
No joke.
Wow.
or just describing a cup.
Yeah.
And that's good because people like that stuff. And which is I like that about him. His writing style, but others don't. As you can tell, some of the books are smaller in other fantasy series. However, so he did such a good job describing all these characters, exactly what they look like, and I had a person like a visualization of what Moraine looked like based on description, and that's right on.
whoa.
Yeah, like beautiful blue eyes and wavy hair. Moraine's a little shorter in the books.
Yeah, so she's
Oh, really?
She's like
Actress a little taller,
5'2".
but-
She's like 5'2". Well, I mean, even if you're going to go by height, like Land's like 6'5". Rand is 6'6" in the book.
Oh my gosh.
Feet. These, but you're not. I get that, but no, you're right. Moraine is actually this is a very good representation of Moraine on a lot of levels.
Yeah, and I will say too, something that some of the book readers don't like because I won't even get into all the charges of wokeness and this and that. I particularly, besides thinking the cast is awesome and everyone embodies the characters, all the main characters, even some of the really smaller characters, as well as I could possibly imagine. So I think that's all great, but I also think that although the story is known for having a lot of female main characters and it was somewhat stood out for its time in having a lot of, after the first book especially, point of view chapters from main female characters. So you have a lot of female characters where you eventually in the book see everything through their eyes instead of just through, so we have whole chapters where Egwene's we see, we learn about this, we see the story through Egwene's eyes or through Nynaeve's eyes or et cetera. And that was, one of the everyone talks about it. It's one of the best attributes of the series. But that said, it still sort of has not the most not the best representation of male-female relationships. Well, he never wrote romance really well, but also the females are still somewhat stereotypical, right? So yes, they are powerful, or yes, we get to see their points of view, but they also fall into, very much certain stereotypes of being nagging and, all this sort of stuff. So I like that the book has made people more believable, and not so all the women are this way and all the men are this way. In the book, all the guys are just like, don't understand women because women are too complex, and it's and then the women are all like nagging because the men just don't get it right, and it's very everyone falls into this sort of stereotype. So I like that the series has made people more realistic and complex.
Yeah,
Okay, that's cool.
well said. Yes. Oh, well, this was fun. Okay. So, everybody, thank you, first of all. Thanks for coming on and doing this.
Thank you
I know
very much.
one of them was very reluctant. I'm not going to say which one, Jason. Anyway, hopefully we will have more of them in future Tori Talks TV episodes, yeah? Comment below. Let us know. You want more of them, right? Yes, you do. Right?
Probably pretty boring.
No, I don't think so.
Be
Thank you all for having us. I guess you requested us, so we're
They
here.
really did.
If you want us more of us, we'll be on this
Thanks for the
this
three
channel.
requests.
Yeah, this channel versus our own. I don't have a channel.
If you want to see them, it's going to have to be here. But yes, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. And of course,
Thanks for watching, though. Really.
Yeah, you guys hung on quite a bit. And like, subscribe, and hit the bell.
thank you so
Yes,
much. You
nice.
did
Good
my job for
job.
me.
Wow.
Thank you. All right, you're going to be here every time, okay? Okay, anyway, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. We miss you, and we'll hopefully see you soon with these guys. Bye-bye.